This is, without a doubt, the best bowl of ramen I have ever made. Shoyu ramen is the classic ramen. It's got a deeply savory shoyu tare, a triple stock that's bright with lots of aromatic flavors.
The flavor, I mean, so much complexity.
Bouncy and silky alkaline noodles. They look beautiful, they look great. They're like my favorite part of this bowl. This is the ultimate shoyu ramen. You may be more familiar with tonkotsu, which is the rich and creamy emulsified pork ramen. This is the opposite. It's light, it's clear. You can pick out individual elements in the soup. The soup changes as you eat it. Every bowl of ramen can be broken up into 5 different elements. That goes for the tare, the seasoning, the aromatic fat, the stock, the noodles, and it goes for the toppings as well. And I'm gonna show you how to put it all together to make this the best bowl of ramen I have ever made. Can't have ramen without the noodles, which are called ramen. So we're just gonna get started here. Dump the sodium carbonate into the water, add the salt, and then you just gotta whisk it until they're fully dissolved, which takes about a minute. The defining element of the noodles in ramen is this alkaline salt solution. Typically, the ones that are used are sodium carbonate and potassium carbonate. Sodium carbonate kind of gives it a silky texture, whereas potassium carbonate gives it a more brittle texture. And that's it. We're ready to move on to mixing the flour, and we add tapioca starch. Tapioca starch produces a firmer gel when cooked than, wheat starch alone. The reason why I'm adding egg here is the egg white in this works synergistically with the tapioca starch and the wheat starch, so that when cooked, these noodles are downcier than noodles that don't have egg. Because it's such a low hydration dough, the most important thing is that it's evenly hydrated. So the way we're gonna accomplish that is we're gonna add the kansui in 3 additions. If you speed a little bit. So the first one, I'm gonna drizzle it down the side of the bowl in as thin a stream as possible. And this just ensures that it's not all clumping up in one place. So you let it mix for a couple minutes. Flour is gonna start looking very feathery, like little tiny feathers. And that just sort of indicates that the water has been thrown all over the place. So the second addition, what you're looking for here is this indicator that's called soburo. Soburo basically means pebbles in Japanese. When you pick up the pebbles and you compress it, it will form a cohesive dough. And once that happens, you know that hydration is sufficiently distributed. And at this point, we're ready to add the third addition. You want to drop the mixer speed a little bit because you just want it so that there's no big pockets of like super wet dough. So the dough is ready. It doesn't look like any dough that you might be familiar with. And you might be tempted to add more water, but don't. Pick up every last bit. Now, we are ready to form this into a sheet. You want to sort of get it into a roughly 15 by 7 to 8 inch rectangle before you start pressing. If it's too thick and you try to pass it through pasta rollers, it has the potential to break them or knock them out of alignment. You want to press this into a sheet that is smooth and without cracks, like a pie dough. You're starting out with something that looks pebbly, and then as you work it, it becomes more smooth. But with pie dough, you don't want to work it too much. This one, you do want to develop the gluten, so you can be as rough with it as possible. You want it to be about a 1/4 inch thick. So we're ready to rest this. 30 minutes at room temperature. Okay, so we're gonna split it into 8 equal parts. You want little squares of dough, 4 by 5 inches, 148 grams per portion. Let's see how much each weighs. 117, not great. Pinch off what you need, 148, amazing. So once you've got the weighed out sheets, you just wanna sort of mush the dough together. And then you can just stack these portions up and you'll work with 2 portions at a time, wrap the remaining portions in plastic. We're ready to start kneading. So you're gonna do 1 pass through at the widest setting, 1 pass through in the second widest setting, and then 1 pass through on the third widest setting. So the goal here is you just want these combined sheets together to be thin enough to pass through here and be compressed together by the widest setting. So then you move into starting the kneading. Once on the widest setting, second widest setting, third widest setting. And then for the kneading process, I typically go to the 4th widest setting. I find it just is quicker. So then you fold it over itself, try to line up the edges, press down on the seam, and then you lead with the seam side through this entire process. So back to the widest setting, second widest setting, third widest setting. So the goal here is to get these sides to be cleaner, 4th widest. Now it's looking even neater. maybe 2 more if necessary. So there is one element here. This is now too wide to fit through the roller. So what I do, take off the corners, just a little angle. So we're gonna do it one more time, see where we're at. Now, this looks like pasta dough. So at this point, we wanna let this rest. So we're gonna fold it over, wrap it in plastic wrap, and then now you just repeat the process with the rest of the dough portions. So we've kneaded the sheets of dough, but as you can see, this is pretty thick. These would make fairly thick noodles. So we need to thin them out, but first we need to let them rest. All right, so they're ready to be thinned out. You're just doing the same thing that you were doing before with the kneading. We're gonna do 1.5 millimeter thick sheets. Maintain tension on this side, the feeding side of the noodle sheet, because that makes sure it goes through cleanly. You spent all this time making a clean and squared off noodle sheet. Messing it up right at the end is really annoying. This is 5. This is the final step. Wait. This is about where you want it. We found that the length of this sheet should end up around 32 inches. And that will give you about the thickness that we're going for here. Also, this is a little uneven. It's not the end of the world. At the midpoint, it's like 31 here. It's 32 on the nose here. So we're going to fold it over so we have an indication of about where the half line is and where the crease is. Just split it. And then now you want to dust it with starch. Not only to keep these sheets from sticking together, but it's also important for keeping the noodles, once cut, from sticking together. Okay, so the noodle sheets are completely thinned out. Let's get into cutting. To cut the noodles, we're going to use a spaghetti cutter attachment. And so the starch that's here, give it a little rub, and then you just feed it in, keeping it taut. And this is the portion. You just fold it, set it aside. Now that little folding thing is the neatest way I know of to do it. They should have enough starch on them that they won't stick together. So that folding step again is you just fold it in half, rest it in your hand, fold it over, and then you can just kind of ball it. There's no need to weigh it. Each one of these is a perfectly good portion for a bowl of noodles. There's no extra steps. It's just straight out of the cutter, right into wherever you're stashing the noodles. All right, the noodles are cut. We recommend letting them sit for at least 12 hours and they will improve over that time. Put them in a Ziploc bag. Condensation can form in the bag. Stick like a half sheet of paper towel in there. So we're gonna put these in the fridge and we're gonna get moving on the soup. Let's get started with making the stock. The first thing you do is soak the kombu. The kombu in this is basically just to add an umami boost to help with extracting flavors from the kombu in the time that it takes to do the 2 steps of fortifying the stock. This will be soaked sufficiently. So soak kombu, done. So we're gonna start making the pork stock. 3 liters of water, whole rack of spare ribs, untrimmed. Whole pig's foot is optional, but we recommend it. Pound of ground pork. And then we have just a whole garlic and some coins of ginger. So all the ingredients are in the pot. And we just needed it to come up to a boil first. The stock has come up to a boil, so we're just going to lock in this lid and we're just gonna bring it up to 2 bars of pressure. So once you hit 2 bars of pressure, you lower the heat, you maintain it for 1 hour. All right, this pork stock's been cooking for an hour. It smells, amazing in here. So now we're just gonna take it off heat and let it depressurize naturally. And I'm just gonna go in and fish out these bones. And now in go 5 pounds of chicken wings. Chicken wings are in, we're below the fill line. We're just gonna bring this back up to a boil, just like with the pork stock. Set the lid on, and then bring it up to 2 bars of pressure. We're gonna drop the heat again to maintain those 2 bars of pressure and cook it for 1 more hour. We've cooked the stock, and we allowed it to depressurize naturally. At this point, we're gonna steep in aromatics. So we got onion, scallions, coins of ginger, crushed garlic, and then kombu. The sliminess is coating these leaves, so it helps to just swish them around in the stock a little bit. You add the napa last. So now the vegetables are in, and we're just gonna let this sit for 45 minutes. So this has been steeping for 45 minutes. We're just gonna take out the cabbage leaves. All right, so now we're just gonna strain this through a cheesecloth lined strainer. As you can see, we have 4 liters of stock. At minimum, what you need for the 8 bowls of ramen is 3 liters. Right now, we're gonna chill it down so that we can lift off the fat, leaving just the stock. This is the stock we made yesterday. It's completely chilled down. As you can see, it's become a little bit more opaque and the fat cap is set. The best way to get this off here is to just use your hands, lift up a little bit, and it comes out in solid bits. So we got the fat out, and then we want to take a portion of this stock and we're gonna clarify it. And so now we've got this split up. So clarification, classic technique. We have a couple recipes on chefsteps.com, one for a classic consomme. We have a modernist consomme that omits the egg whites and uses methyl cellulose. This one is a slight variation on those techniques because it doesn't use any aromatics. It doesn't use an additional binder like methyl cellulose or egg whites for the raft. It's just chicken breast. And the purpose here is baking the fortified pork and chicken stock and just giving it like this huge injection of chicken flavor while also clarifying it. So this starts off with 500 grams of cubed chicken breast. We're using lean chicken breast because we've defatted this. We want to keep it defatted. You're going to add the chicken stock to this ground meat. And this is not going to be pretty. So you've got this pink sludge. So we're just going to dump this into a 3-quart pot. So we've got the chicken smoothie, chicken goo or pink slime, whatever you want to call it. And we're just going to bring it up to a boil so that we can start coagulating the proteins and forming the raft. As it heats, the only thing you need to do is sort of gently scrape along the bottom of the pan so that none of the chicken pieces kind of get stuck there and start to brown. And the way this works, proteins, as you heat them, they start to unravel and they start to get stuck to each other. And then you have these convection currents of heat sending the stock up and hitting the raft. Any proteins in the stock will get caught and then they'll stick to the raft, which leaves behind a very clear stock. This is coming up to a boil now, and what you want to do is you want to poke a little hole, a couple inches in the center, and this is going to give you a place to ladle out the stock that's underneath. As it boils, this hole will set. At this point, you're going to start ladling over the stock. So you want to keep doing this until it's fully set. So at this point, the raft is basically set. So you just want to simmer this for 20 minutes. Ladling the stock over the raft every once in a while to now you just want to strain it. So we're going to turn off the heat and straining it through a cheesecloth lined sieve. And that's that. So we've cooked the stock. We made a pork stock. We fortified it with chicken. We added aromatics. We chilled it down, removed the fat, and then we took a portion of it and we clarified it using chicken breast to produce this clarified stock. Both would make good ramen. They would taste very different. So why do both? For our ultimate bowl of ramen, we use both of these stocks, but then we also add another stock, which is dashi. And dashi adds smokiness, a little sourness. With all three combined, it's a super soup. It changes as you're getting deeper into the bowl. It's just like, you know, one of the best bowls of ramen I've ever made. So now that the stock's out of the way, we can focus on chashu, the pork. So what we got here is a slab of pork belly. It's center cut. It's around 2 pounds, so like 900 grams. It's a very simple cure of just salt and brown sugar mixed together until they're nicely combined. We recommend doing this on a sheet pan because this is a short cure and you want it evenly distributed across the whole pork. For this preparation, you want skin off pork belly because the temperature and time that we're gonna cook this for, the skin won't really become soft enough and it'll just be kind of tough. Okay, so this is fairly even. I'm just gonna wrap this up and throw it in the fridge and it's gonna cure overnight, anywhere from 8 hours to 24 hours. It's been 12 hours, so now it's ready to cook. So we've got an oven going, 300 degrees with convection. It would be 325 if you're not using a convection oven. It's not a very hot oven. And part of this is that we're limiting browning on the exterior. This is why we're washing off the cure. If you leave it on, you cook it, it can be a little salty. But also because there's brown sugar in the cure, it has a tendency to brown very quickly. I'm just gonna pat it dry. We're gonna set it on our rack, set in a sheet pan, fat cap side up, and now we're gonna throw it in the oven. This flat belly will cook for around 2 to 3 hours. So you're looking for an internal target temperature of around between 195 and 200. All right, so this is what, 197. You can see there's a little bit of browning. It's completely tender on the inside, but it's still got a little bit of bite. We're just gonna let this hang out for around 20 to 30 minutes at room temperature, just to let it cool down enough so that we can move on to the next step. And so now we're gonna stick it in a bag and we're gonna add a little marinade of soy sauce and mirin. All it does is it just adds a little extra oomph to each slice. Because of the short cure, the interior is less seasoned than the exterior. And basically, when you bite into it, the exterior is seasoning the interior for you as you chew. And then just kind of rub it around. So this is also why you need to let it cool a little bit, because when this is hot, it can break apart. For presentation purposes, we recommend chilling it fat side down, because the weight of the pork belly will flatten the fat. Then, when you slice it, it looks quite nice. So we're gonna stick this in the fridge for at least 8 hours so it can chill and you can get nice clean slices. And it can stay in the fridge for up to 3 days. It won't over marinate, it'll still be great. After that point, if you're gonna keep it, you wanna freeze it. So this has been chilling overnight, so it's ready to be sliced. Had it dry a little bit. When slicing, split it, because you want this side. You're gonna trim off some slices. You can go as thick or thin as you want. Go from, a 1/4 inch to 1/8 of an inch. The pork is done, it's portioned, and we're ready to move on to the tare. For our bowl, we're using a shoyu tare. For this, most of the tare is soy sauce. Here are the ingredients that we use to make it more savory. You've got kombu, dried shiitake, soy sauce, fish sauce, and katsuobushi, which is fermented dried skipjack tuna or bonito. And then on the sweetness side, we have sugar, we have sake, and we have mirin. Mirin and sake also add a little bit of acidity. Also, soy sauce, fish sauce, and katsuobushi are slightly acidic as well. It's super simple to put this all together. We have the whole recipe online at chefsteps.com. It's super simple to do. And so now we're gonna move on to fat. We're gonna use the fat that rose up to the top of the stock, but there's still a fair amount of stock clinging to that fat. So we need to take that stock away by boiling it off. The problem with this is that you can't guarantee how much fat is produced in the stock making process. Different pig parts have different fat, different chickens have different amount of fat. To guarantee that you have enough fat for your ramen, we're gonna take that fat and we're gonna supplement with another fat. You can use neutral oil, that's fine. We're gonna use lard today. So first, we're gonna see how much fat we have. 195 grams of fat. For 8 bowls of ramen, you want 30 grams of fat per bowl. The amount of fat that rose to the surface of the stock is not sufficient. So we're going to add extra fat, keeping in mind that this fat has some stock in it. So we're gonna add enough fat to hit 300 grams. And just to flavor that fat a little bit, I've got a garlic clove here. I'm just gonna give it a little smash into the pot. Okay, we're gonna bring this up to a simmer. We're gonna cook off all that water. This fat is almost ready. The water is boiled off. The garlic is starting to fry. So we're gonna shut it off heat. I'm gonna check the yield on this. We started off at 300, and after cooking, it's at now 244. So that's exactly enough for what we need for these 8 bowls of ramen. So we've got the fat squared away. That means we have everything ready to make a bowl of the ultimate shoyu ramen. All right, so we have all 5 elements for making this bowl of ramen. We have noodles, we have our stock blend, we have our tare, we have our fat, and then we have our toppings, which include the roasted chashu that we made. The other toppings here are just some blanched spinach that's, blanched 40 seconds, squeezed of excess water and cut. We've got naruto maki, which is this fish cake with the pink spiral. We've got sliced negi or sliced onion, sheets of nori, and we've got these soft-boiled marinated eggs. Before you start building the bowl, what's really important is warming the serving bowl. You want your ramen to be hot as possible so that all those aromas immediately hit the person when they're about to sit down and eat. So you can warm up the bowl a bunch of different ways. You can just do this and the steam will heat it up very quickly. Ramen is one of those dishes that no matter where you're eating it, in a restaurant, at home when you're making it at home or developing a recipe for it, or even like an instant ramen, it's designed to be made in a single serving. That's the logic behind all of this preparation, that it all gets put together in a single bowl at a time. So this bowl is warm, we're ready to go. I'm gonna drop the noodles. That helps to give them a little jangle, just so they're not sticking together. Drop them in. You have to stir them as soon as you put them in, just make sure they don't stick at all. These noodles cook for 240. Once the noodles are in the boiling water, you want to build the rest of the bowl pretty quickly. 30 mLs tare, pinch of white pepper, pinch of these confetti cut onion, 30 mLs of the fat. Then we've got the stock, 350 ml ladle. And now we wait for the noodles. While this is happening, you can torch the pork belly if you want to. Noodles are ready. You have to drain them thoroughly because any of that water going in there will dilute the broth. Once it's drained, add them to the soup. So you give them a little lift, a shake, and a fold. A perfect platform for the toppings. Go in with the chashu first, some spinach, an egg, negi, fish cake, a slice of nori, and there you got it. The ultimate shoyu ramen. I'm just gonna set it aside for now because I'm gonna make another bowl. And there we go. Do we have somebody here to eat it? Oh yeah, Tim. Come on, Tim, come here. Hope you like it, Tim.
Is this homemade?
It's actually out of an instant ramen packet.
Dude, I'm moving up in the world. Whoa. That was incredible. The noodles, they're the right balance of like slippery and chewy, but they're not too chewy. They're like kind of like in Chinese, we call it like a Q texture. Those are like some of the best noodles I've ever had. That broth, it's like so much complexity. You get like layers of flavor. I'm getting smoked fish. I'm getting the richness and the slight tang of the shoyu. There's like a gelatin quality. Like it actually has like a lot of body. I haven't even gotten to like the chashu, but I know it slaps. So I'm not generally a fan of shoyu ramen. Like I'm more of a shio guy, but as far as shoyus go, this is really, really good. I would order this.
20 bucks?
30, 35, man. As a fellow member of the Asian Noodle Soup Federation, I approve. This is amazing.
That's it. That's the ultimate shoyu ramen. Yes, it takes 3 days to make. It's the best ramen recipe I've ever made, and you can find all the elements on chefsteps.com. And when you get to the bottom of the bowl, you feel like, you feel like what?
Subscribe to our channel and visit chefsteps.com for more tips, recipes, guides, and tools to help you level up in the kitchen.